too much to cover right now. Okay. 2 minutes. Kind of keep me posted, will you, my man? Thank you.
What does it stand for? Do you know what ENS stands for?
ENS.
Is that what they're talking about?
I didn't hear.
I know for 100% sure, county has their
I remember that
streets.
now when I don't remember what year that was, that pushed down, but I think that all the towns agreed, hey, we don't have the manpower to do it.
More appropriate, because then you don't have 4 different enforcement groups trying to enforce the same thing.
Lisa, hi. Come to order. Please let us stand for the invocation and the pledge. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, again, we are blessed to be able to be here tonight to discuss the matters that are pertinent to the town of Richlands and all the people who live in it and those that we affect with our actions and our decisions. We pray that everything we do will be in the best interest as you see fit, and that we follow your guidance and your wisdom, and that we show love, compassion, and concern for everyone. Tonight especially, we ask for the blessings, your blessings, God, on Susan Witt, who has been with this town for years in the loss of her husband, John Witt. John started at this town 34 years ago, and he retired several years ago due to an illness, and he has been the chief water plant operator for the town. I want to say thank you, Jesus Christ and God, for the service that you allowed John to give all of us. We pray for your blessings on Susan and Maddie's husband, Sean, and all of their extended family, that God's peace, your peace and comfort, will find its way into their hearts and seep into there with the love that passes all understanding. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Council. You may be seated. Council, we have before us an agenda, and I would like to ask for Council to approve one small change. If you will please look at Roman numeral 4, which is recognition of Virginia Phoenix Cordell, the 14U travel softball team, and the next one is additions, deletions to the agenda. If we could just switch those, please, so that we can approve the agenda first, and then we will honor these young team members. Now, are there any other additions or deletions, changes to the agenda that need to be brought to the attention of the clerk? Anyone? Okay. All right. Does everyone understand what I'm asking for? Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda with the change that you mentioned,
Okay.
which is moving item 4 to 5 and 5 to 4.
thank you, Seth. And there's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? May we have a voice vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So right now, we're going to talk about additions or deletions to the agenda. And I will call for anyone present who would like to speak under unscheduled public comments. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand and say your name for the benefit of the clerk. Yes, ma'am. Patricia Sparks, under unscheduled public comments. Is there anyone else present who would like to speak under unscheduled public comments? Hearing none. Jason, am I correct in saying no one has called in for scheduled public comments?
No, sir, we've not had any.
Okay. So that's one addition to the agenda. Is there anything else that needs to be changed on our agenda? Members of council? To my left? To my right? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Gary makes the motion and Rick seconds. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have a voice vote? All in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The motion carries. We have an approved agenda. Thank you, council. All right, the next item on our agenda is the recognition of Virginia Phoenix Cordal 14U travel softball team. And so this afternoon, Lisa, are you here? Okay, thank you. Lisa Cordal sent a list of accomplishments, and Lisa, I haven't had a chance to read it all, so I will do my best to honor you in the most deserving way. And I will tell you, ladies, I am sure that whatever I can do, and having worked with young people, and whatever she has written is probably inadequate, because we can't count for all the blood, sweat, and tears, but we can talk about your accomplishments. Thank you. So, here we go. This is the Virginia, and if I mess up, please help me, okay? This is the Virginia Phoenix Cordal 14U Class A travel softball team. The head coach is Tom Cordal. Tom? Thank you. The assistant coach is Jeff Osborne. Jeff? Thank you. And the assistant coach, Shannon Fuller. Shannon? Not available tonight. Players, number 1, Addison Moore. Addie, I know you. Sophomore at Richlands High School. Played 2 years of middle school softball. She was pulled to the JV team in the 8th grade. She was pulled to varsity her freshman year. Addie's primary position on the field is the catcher position. However, she is a utility player. Addie also plays varsity basketball and JV volleyball for Richlands High School. Addie is a Dean's List student. Addie was selected as the second team all-district varsity basketball and first team all-region 2D softball. She was also selected for all-state softball. Addie is playing varsity volleyball this year and plans to play basketball and softball. Addie, I cannot help it because I remember your dad as a young man coming in the store. Good to see you. Thank you. Okay. Number 2, Peyton Marshall. Peyton, there you are. Thank you, ma'am. Peyton is a freshman at Hunacre High School. This is a regional team. She played 1 year of middle school softball. Peyton is an honor roll student. Thank you, Peyton. Number 4, Allie Gracie Hale. Did I say that correct? Allie Gracie? Okay, where are you, Allie? Couldn't make it, but we honor you anyway. She is a sophomore at Richlands High School. Allie played 2 years of middle school softball. She was pulled to the JV team in the 8th grade. She played JV her freshman year. Allie's primary position on the field is in center field. However, she is also a utility player. Allie also plays varsity basketball and JV basketball for Richlands High School. Allie is an honor roll student. She is playing JV volleyball this year, and she plans to also play basketball and softball. Multi-talented. Thank you. 6, Avery Fuller. Avery, where are you? Okay, good to see you, Avery. She is a sophomore at Richlands High School. Avery played 2 years of middle school softball. She was pulled to the JV team in 8th grade. She was pulled up to varsity her freshman year. Avery's primary position on the field is pitching. However, she is also a utility player. Avery also plays volleyball for Richlands High School. Avery is a Dean's List student. She was selected to the 2nd team All Southwest District softball. She is playing varsity volleyball this year and plans to play basketball and softball. Congratulations, Ms. Fuller. That's a lot. Good for you. Next, number 9, Ireland Osborne. Did I say that right, Ireland? Osborne, yes, okay. The Ireland part's what I was worried about. Thank you. All right. She's a sophomore at Richlands High School. Ireland played 2 years of middle school softball. She was pulled to the JV team in the 8th grade. She was pulled up to the varsity her freshman year. Ireland's primary position on the field is first base. However, she is also a utility player. Ireland also plays varsity volleyball for Richlands High School. Ireland is an honor roll student. She was selected to the 1st team All Southwest District softball. She was selected for the All-Region D 2nd team. She is playing varsity volleyball this year and plans to play softball. Thank you very much, Ireland. Number 11, Brandy Moore. Brandy, are you here? There you go. Hi, Brandy. All right. She's an 8th grader at Richlands Middle School. I knew I've seen you last year. Good to see you. All right. She has played middle school softball for 2 years. Brandy also plays basketball and volleyball for her school. She is a Dean's List student. She has played on 2 state runners-up softball all-star teams and 1 state semifinal all-star team. She is playing JV volleyball this year and plans to play basketball and softball. That's quite a lot. Thank you. All right, next, number 20, Mackenzie Cordell. Mac, good to see you. All right, she's a freshman at Richlands High School. She played 3 years of middle school softball, with her first year being a 5th grader. She was pulled to the JV team in 8th grade. Mackenzie's primary position on the field is second base. However, she is also a utility player. Mackenzie also plays volleyball for Richlands High School. She plans to give basketball a try. Mackenzie is a Dean's List student. She is playing JV volleyball this year and plans to play basketball and softball. Thank you. How exciting. Next, number 22, Paitlin Barnett. Good to see you, Paitlin. Thank you. She's a sophomore at Richlands High School. She played 2 years of middle school softball. She was pulled to the JV team in 8th grade. She was pulled to varsity her freshman year. Paitlin is a utility player. She also plays varsity basketball and JV volleyball for Richlands High School. She was 2nd team all-district softball this year. She's a Dean's List student. She competed regionally for DECA. I would say Mrs. Bandy. Is that correct? All right, thank you. She is playing varsity volleyball this year and plans to play basketball and softball. I cannot help but add, I know we have at least 2 members of council who also studied under Miss Bandy. Maybe more, and if I'm overlooking you, I'm sorry. All right, next, Paitlin Barnett. Glad to have you, Peyton. All right, now, number 24, Cammie Spencer. Cammie. Good to see you, Cammie. She is a sophomore at Richlands High School. She played 2 years of middle school softball. She was pulled to the JV team in 8th grade. She was pulled to varsity her freshman year. Cammie's primary position on the field is shortstop. However, she is also a utility player. Those balls come fast, that position. All right, Cammie also plays volleyball and wrestles for Richlands High School. That is an accomplishment and a growing sport, and I'm so glad to see that for women. Cammie is a Dean's List student. She plans to wrestle and play softball this year. Good for you, Cammie. Next, number 0000, Justice Hill. Justice, there you are. All right. She's a freshman at Richlands High School. She played 3 years of middle school softball, with her first year being a 5th grader. She was pulled to the JV team in 8th grade. Justice's primary position on the field is catcher. However, she is also a utility player. Justice plans to give volleyball a try this year. Justice is an honor roll student. She is playing JV volleyball this year and plans to play softball. Congratulations to all of you ladies. And I want to thank Lisa for giving us a little bio for each of you. It's important that we recognize you and understand the future that you have, not only in sports, but in the community at large. The Virginia Phoenix 14U Class A softball team. These ladies have played travel softball since the 8U level of play. They have won numerous championships in each level of play, 8U, 10U, 12U, and 14U. They have placed in several 18U level tournaments. These ladies practice and play together year round. That has to create a bond. Absolutely. All right. To play the ASA USA 14UA Class National Tournament, they had to win a qualifier. They played in the qualifier last fall in Asheville, North Carolina. They faced some really tough competition in that qualifier and walked away champions. I can hear Queen now. Okay. These ladies were invited to and played in a college-friendly King College D2 and the University of Virginia D1. They have been invited to play in other college friendlies. They have begun playing in college showcases and this summer and will continue to do so. They have been invited to attend camps at multiple colleges. Several of these ladies have been contacted by different colleges who are interested in them. You're making your future. Currently, they are ranked first in the state of Virginia in the USA ASA Softball Organization 14UA class. They are also ranked 5th in the nation under the USA ASA Softball Organization 14UA class. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. 9 out of 10 of these girls attend Richlands schools. They hope to represent the Lady Blues softball program next spring. I just want to add one little thing and to say this. 9 out of 10 of you, is that what it was, are Richlands students? Who was the Honaker person? But I want to say one thing. This talks about the range and the reach of people everywhere. We're all connected. Thank you. With that being said, I read this because it's what Lisa sent, but it's so important to get these individual bios. Girls, you deserve all the accolades you possibly can have for all the accomplishments that you've had in sports, in various sports, softball, basketball, wrestling, all these. These are team-building sports, and they create character, and they help you learn to win, and sometimes, unfortunately, lose. But it does create the spirit of who you are. And I'm sure, I'm absolutely positive that you will carry this spirit forward in your hearts and in your minds forever. You will not forget it. With that being said, is there anything, Lisa, you would like to add? Ladies, is there anything you would like to say? You're welcome to. This is your time. Thank you very much. If I cannot say enough good things seeing all these young ladies here who are multi-talented, I think this is picture time. Would you please come up and we'll move so you can have a picture just with you and then we'll all huddle together with council. Is that acceptable? Can someone take a picture for us? Thank you. All right. Ladies, come on up here. We can stand behind you. How about that? Thank you. You face that way. Sure, absolutely. Good to see you, Addie. I know all of you guys. Somehow or other, absolutely. I know your faces anyway. We're good. Let's huddle together. We're going to get closer. Yeah. Jason, you all tell us when you can see everybody. They're the big focus. Me?
You want to try this?
How about this? I get on my tiptoes. Thank you. Girls, I tell you, why don't you file by and shake everybody's hand so they'll start over here and go this way, okay? Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Congratulations.
We are
Most
honored. Tell your
impressive.
mama how
Most
you did.
impressive.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cool, very cool.
Thank you.
Impressive.
Thank you.
Impressive.
Wonderful. Good to see you. Thank you.
Impressive.
Thank you. You're the
Impressive.
Honecker girl. Go Tigers.
Impressive.
There you go. Thank you very much. And you're welcome to stay for the whole meeting, or you do whatever you wish. to
Mayor,
do.
before they leave, before you guys leave, I just want to say to Lisa and Tom, thank you. And they keep me up to date on what you guys are doing. She lets me know how you play, and I've been hearing about you girls for a long time. And so we had our last tournament, for my boys, 18U this year, and we've got 4 boys that are playing Division II college baseball. I've got 4 that are playing NAIA, and I've got 4 playing JUCO ball. So you guys keep going, and it opens up a whole world of possibilities, and we're just really proud of you all. We'd really like y'all to win us a state title. We'll bring you back. Yeah, 3 of them would be good. Yeah, we'll take 3. That'll be fine. But we'll be hoping to bring you back soon. Congratulations,
Yeah.
girls.
Anybody else from council want to say anything? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We have our agenda. Okay. Next in our agenda, we have the authorization to pay the bills. So you should have before you the bills right here. Okay. Paid checks report, I think this is the one. And it was sent to us and now it's printed. Okay, are there any questions about the bills that we need to authorize the manager to pay?
I've got a question. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. You'll be shocked, but 16028 for Thompson and Linton.
This is the last payment that we have for Thompson and Lytton. I believe this is for the special studies. This is for their June. We notified them coming out of the July meeting. I believe that there is one small bill that's left that I've received for less than $1,000, but that's the end of it. The RFP for engineering services is on EVA right now. We're receiving phone calls about that, so that will be, you'll have this one and then I think a small bill left in September that you'll pay, and that'll be the end of it.
Okay, and then that's it.
Any more, Laura?
No, sir, that's it.
I had a question about the same one. Have we directed them not to do any more work for us?
Yes, sir. We've made notice and we've given them a cancellation, and we've notified English, who is the sole bid on the water treatment plant upgrade, that we are canceling that RFP. We've moved and put the RFP for additional engineering services is now on EVA. It was fun to try to get there, but we're there and we've got it on there, and we're now entertaining, we're waiting for that RFP to close. I believe it closes at the end of this month, so we hope to have that RFP bids for you at the September meeting.
Thank you, Jason. And to be clear, we can look for one more small bill that we owe Thompson Lake.
Yes, sir, and I believe that was just a couple of $100s, because again, it was for the month of July, and we have made notice that we want to pause that project with Thompson and Lytton at that
Okay.
point in time.
Well, we always want to be fair and pay our bills. I'm good with that. Thank you. Anyone else with questions? Anybody else on council have questions about the check register?
I do, Mayor.
Yes, sir, Gary.
Check number 16032. Is that final payment on W&L?
Yes, sir. That is for the complete paving project. That is paid in full, so we will, that pays for Kents Ridge, the milling and the paving on Virginia Avenue, and for the additional work at Lake Park Road. So that is in total, we will be completed with paving for FY '24.
That's a 700,000
Yes,
check.
sir.
Okay, good. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Jason. Any others with questions about the check register?
The 16058. What is that for?
That is for the removal of the sludge from the wastewater treatment facility. It's Lusk charges us to be able to remove that, take that to the landfill. This is something we've looked at and we're still investigating. We'd eventually like to try to bring this in-house, but we've not gotten over that hump yet, so we're still working with Lusk at this point in time. I would note, and again, we're making some adjustments in our accounting team, and so again, there are a few on here that's avoided by due to printer error. We're growing and we're learning as we go, so we've had a few bumps in the road, but again, those have all been voided and all for zero, so I just want to make sure that you're aware of that.
Thank you. Any others? Members of council?
Motion to approve, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Seth makes the motion to authorize the manager to pay the bills, and it is seconded by Jordan. Is there any discussion on this motion? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
And I will be your clerk for the evening.
Okay.
Seth,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
thank you.
It is unanimous. Thank you, council. Okay. Next, we have minutes on Roman numeral 7, minutes of July 10th, 2024 regular schedule meeting, and July 23rd special called meeting.
Mayor, if I can interrupt, this is again where I think I'm a fairly good manager, but I'm not a very good clerk. We did not include the minutes in this. If we could postpone the approval of those minutes to the September meeting, we'll have both the July regular session, the special session in July, and tonight's minutes all for you ready to approve at the September meeting.
I think that's appropriate. I read it because it's on there, but I didn't see them. I will just ask, is council, do we have a consensus of council to wait until
No problem.
September to approve these minutes? Thank you.
Thank you for that
everyone.
flexibility, Council.
You're quite welcome. Next is Roman numeral 8, scheduled public comments. There's no one who called in. Next, we have Roman numeral 9, unscheduled public comments. Patricia Sparks. Ms. Sparks, you want to come up to the podium and thank you. Say what you wish, please.
Here,
It's 3 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
okay. My name is Patricia Sparks, and I just wanted to stand up and get to know you. My husband, Fred Sparks, we were going to retire here together. It's his hometown. Well, he passed 2 years ago, but I fell in love with the town, and I'm going to retire here anyway. And I just wanted to let everybody know that everyone here has been so friendly and so nice. I mean, just, I've never seen anything like it. I'm here from Florida, and we're used to flat land. And when they were paving the streets on Virginia Avenue, I came up in my car. They stopped my car, and some other trucks and cars were coming down the hill. Well, I started to panic. And the workmen came over and helped me they drove my car up the hill for me, or actually they drove it down but anyway, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the street is so nice with the paving on it and the kindness that's been shown to me since I've been here. And I look forward to, I've still got to tie up some loose ends. I'm going back home next week, but I'll be back next summer, and I've been here all summer, so I've come to the fireworks and all the different things, and I've had probably the best summer I've had in I don't know how long, you know. It's not burning hot here like it is there. But anyway, today they put in the fisheye and that I had been requesting them to put in, and I almost cried when I saw it. I thought, oh, what I wanted really mattered, you know. But I just wanted to say, you know, thank you for being so kind, and I look forward to seeing you all as neighbors and coming to these meetings in the future. And I'll volunteer for anything if you need me, so, but not till I get back next summer.
Ms. Sparks, before you go, thank you very much. Your sentiment is accepted graciously, and you really speak well for Richlands. But I'll tell you, I don't know you really, but your whole personality invites warmth. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's who you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can we
Okay.
get Ms. Sparks to come back and do that every meeting?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's great.
Okay. Roman numeral 10, agenda items. We have the second reading of the water connection ordinance, ordinance 2024-0801. I'll defer to Mike for that, please.
Yeah, this is, if you're within 50 feet of a current, the water system, it would be a mandatory connection there. And of course, we read this at the last meeting. You have the ability to waive that second reading and pass if that's council's desire.
Mike, I think we could do that, but do we need to pass this as an emergency ordinance or just pass it?
I don't think it's an emergency, so it'd just be passing.
Is there a motion to waive the second reading of ordinance 2024-0801?
I'll make that motion.
Rick makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
And Seth makes the second. Is there any discussion on this motion to waive the second reading? Hearing no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Seth,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
It is unanimous. Thank you, council. Now, is there a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-0801?
I'll make that motion.
Rick makes the motion.
Second.
And Laura makes the second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Seth,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion is unanimous and it carries. Thank you very much. Are you good with it, Mike? Okay. All right. Next, Roman numeral 10B, the second reading implementation of the transient occupancy tax, ordinance 2024-0802. Mike, would you like to expand on that, please?
And this is likewise, you all read this last month. Of course, had the public hearing, had an advertisement for this, so this is your all's desire to, whether you want to waive that second reading, pass today. I don't believe this is an emergency either.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Is there a motion to dispense with the second reading of ordinance 2024-0802?
So moved.
Laura makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Gary makes the second. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd just like to say that currently, we have 0 properties that this would affect, that I'm aware of.
That's
And
right.
I've looked on Airbnb, VRBO, I've checked this just to make sure. So I don't think we have any at this time. This is just in preparation for what we hope begins to happen. But I did want to make that clear.
Seth, that's an important point, and I'm very glad you said it because I was, when this was published today online, I had a call about it, and I said, to my knowledge,
Yeah.
and if I
tomorrow, too.
messed up, I'm sorry, we don't have anyone that qualifies. So the imposing this tax affects no one except any new businesses.
Correct.
So let's see, where are we? We have a motion and a second to dispense with the second reading, is that correct?
Yes.
And is there any further discussion on dispensing with the second reading? Hearing no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Seth,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Thank you, council. That is unanimous. Now, is there a motion to adopt the transient occupancy tax ordinance 2024-0802?
I'll make that run.
Rick makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Gary makes the second. Is there any discussion on this motion? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Seth,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
It is unanimous. Thank you, council. Mike, for those present who might not know, would you explain when, since we didn't pass it as an emergency measure, when this will become effective?
So any ordinance that's passed, it's a default of 30 days that it goes into effect after passing. So it would be September 12th when this goes into effect.
Thank you, Mike. I think that's really important for people to understand, and I do appreciate it. Okay, next, we have Roman numeral 10C, loader contract. And we have, I think everybody has the replaced version in front of them.
Yes, sir.
So this is loader contract, staff contact Jason, review by Ronnie Campbell. I will defer to Jason on this. Jason, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We've purchased a number of pieces of equipment over the past 9 to 10 months. We've had not the best of supply when I first arrived. This is the last large piece of equipment that the Public Works team, and to a larger effect, the town in general, is in need of. The current loader, on your staff summary, I listed it as over 15 years. That
to install solar arrays on their property. Currently, there is no statute or ordinance to prevent anyone from doing this. But this ordinance would codify residents and commercial businesses' abilities to do so. Another path to do this would be to include rooftop solar. Let me reword that if you don't mind. With a special exception permit into each zone and have a policy held in town hall for what each landowner would need to do to apply for that permit. Staff would like direction from council on what the best next steps are for the process. So I think I will defer to Jason and to the members who have been looking into this.
So, Mayor, before we jump to discussion, Mike has been doing a little bit of background on this, so I want to defer to Mike and so that he can provide us an update on that process.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
That's correct. My initial thinking when I talked to Jason was if we were to adopt this into the Code of Ordinances, if we wanted to put it in every zone, we were going to have to read it of what all we wanted to put in there 5-6 times if we wanted it under each zone. Upon speaking with my law partners about that, they seemed to disagree with me, and the more that I looked into it, I thought, well, we can put it under a general regulation, kind of like how we have the nuisance, the inoperable vehicles, that kind of thing. We could put a policy codified in Richlands Code under general provision or general regulations, solar energy systems, and adopt it that way. Obviously, you would still have to read that one time. You wouldn't have to do it 5-6 times. But that is a different route to go with. It just kind of really depends on what council wants to do moving forward. Currently, under Virginia Code, anybody has the ability to put solar panels on their house, or a solar, not really a farm, but solar instruments on their land.
Based on current Virginia code.
Based on Virginia Code. But under that code, localities at Richlands can adopt any kind of certain provisions that they want to have that somebody would have to follow. So right now, we don't have anything, so there's no restriction on it, the way I look at it. So that's something for council to take into account.
Would members of council care to comment on that?
Go ahead, Gary. You can
I
go
was just
ahead.
gonna say, if we do have something to go by ordinance or whatever, it's gonna make it safer, because right now they can do it. This way, it'll be still permitted, inspected, and installed.
So let me just make sure I understand, because I mean, I know people in town right now that have solar panels on their house. So I didn't think there was ever a problem. I think I was a little bit confused when we were talking about this before. I was thinking like there was a moratorium, you couldn't do it, but I didn't think that was the case. I think because we're in a unique situation, the only place where this becomes an issue is two things. If you want to put solar panels on your roof to run your hot water heater, which many people have done, or to power part of your house, you can do that. Well, maybe three things. One being the permitting, and I'm assuming there's a permit through your office right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to have to get a county permit, building permit anyway.
Tazewell County.
Yes. So Gary's going to have to inspect it, make sure it's hooked up right, so you're not backfeeding. And I'm assuming.
That's where the inverters come in.
Right. I'm assuming Appalachian Power has their own things that they want done anyway. The only problem is if we get into a large-scale commercial, let's say somebody wants to put a megawatt on their roof. We don't have a means to buy the power back. Anybody that's doing a large-scale system like that, they're going to want to offset their power for us to buy it back. We're in a unique situation because we have a power company. Not saying that we wouldn't do that or couldn't do that, but I just think I like the part of this what it talks about with a special exception permit. I think that's the kind of conversation that we have, if we get into that. I don't see any problem with us having an ordinance, and I agree with Gary. Having one more layer of inspection on that is probably not a bad idea, especially because we have our own power system. And I just wanted to make sure, I don't think we're trying to limit anyone from doing this. I do think that there are some concerns in a large-scale commercial situation because we don't have a mechanism, and it's going to trigger other things that that we'll have to deal with. We don't have a mechanism to buy that power back or maybe even to run that power back into our system. And I think that's, if they want to operate it to run their whole house, I don't care about that because it's going to cost them far more to do that than it will be to buy power.
Do it 20 megawatt or kilowatts, whatever, versus the megawatts.
Right.
And sell them back, farm, sold, or whatever. I mean,
I would just say we don't buy it back. Yeah, we just put it, you can put whatever you want. If we're going to do it, and let Michael write that in the ordinance, we're not going to buy any power back from you. Now, if there's somebody who says, well, I'm this investor and I want to do my own and I'd like to sell it to, okay, that's a special use thing. We look at that on an individual basis. But as far as, I think some previous councils have had problems with people putting solar on their property to offset their power. I've got zero concerns about that.
I think that has been a concern. But also, if you happen to remember, a previous IEDA was talking about it in a different vein. And it wasn't so much individual homes. It was for large-scale solar panels. And the idea was for groups to be able to sell back to the town.
Yeah.
I think the issue, Seth, you've nailed it, isn't so much that we're worried about people making their own electricity to save. That's a normal operation. I think the real issue would be exactly what you're saying. It isn't individuals. Nobody has problems with that. It is the buying back. And I think that is the issue. You nailed it.
I think we can simplify that and we just say we're not going to buy any power back. If
It
someone
becomes
wants.
a real problem.
Yeah.
And complex. And I can envision exactly what you're saying. We're all up here trying to figure out what do we do with somebody who's putting in 80 panels and they want us to buy it back.
Yeah.
That, I'm just using this as a far-fetched example. I think that is it in a nutshell. So if you're good with this and other people, we need other input. I think the direction would be to ask Mike to draft at least ideas for us to consider, if not an ordinance. I think we need to be careful what we're voting on, and I think an idea ordinance is better than coming up maybe in September with one we're supposed to vote on, so we can fine tune it. Now, that's my take. Anybody else have thought? Laura, I remember you had a discussion on this. Do you recall?
I do, yeah. I'm with you. I obviously have questions, but I think Seth kind of nailed it too. And like kind of what you said, the hesitation was when.
Not individuals, but large groups.
Right. So I think it's a good idea to do like the idea ordinance in September and get our questions answered. I mean, as long as it's not going to impact us with like AMP and our electric department is
Right.
good, but I think not buying back is going to be
Let's
the
keep it
biggest
simple.
key. Yep.
Well, this is the thing, you can store so much, then you gotta do something with it, or you can't.
It goes
collect
back to
on
the
it.
grid.
So it's gotta go back to the grid. So that's free power for the town of Richlands eventually.
Well, the only provision of that I would say is if we had a person, business, whatever, that wants to put that much solar on, we just look at that on a case-by-case basis, and then we have that conversation at that time. But as far as I know, nobody's got millions of dollars that they want to invest in solar panels, and it would cost millions of dollars. Now, where this all comes in play is like what Mr. Mayor was talking about is out west, you could have maybe just a small array on your house, but you're getting sunlight for, longer periods of time. Maximum solar exposure here is going to be 5 hours. You're not going to get enough to offset that. But, out west or some places they are. But I think this is simple. We don't have to go overboard, but we protect everybody, we protect our line workers by adding an extra permit or, an extra level of checking through Gary's office or whatever. But other than that, I think Mike can draft something pretty easy for us on that.
Is council okay with asking Mike to draft, I call it ideas, because these are very serious things we're talking about power and in enabling citizens to do the best that they can for their homes, and also safeguarding everyone around them and the town.
The only thing I'll add is, put this on. So I have looked around for different municipalities that have their own power system, and I've yet to see one that does buy back. Bedford, for example, does not buy back. And that's where we based a lot of the stuff on. I will also say that there is apparently a different kind of meter that has to go on someone's house whenever they.
It's
Yeah.
a net meter, yeah.
There you go. That's
We
the
just
only
don't have to
difference
get
I'm
into
aware
all
of.
that, yeah.
I
Agreed.
agree, keep it
Agreed.
simple. And Bedford is also an AMP partner.
Yeah.
And a Blue Ridge partner. So they are in sync with us on a lot of these things, how to move forward in a way that safeguards the community and the rights of people to want to do it. It's everything good.
And Mike, to save a lot of time, you may just want to pull Bedford's ordinance to see what they've got, and we can take a look at that as well.
Yeah, we have a bunch. We have a pamphlet this big somewhere that has a lot of that based on Bedford.
Okay.
It was when I got on council.
Gary's got it.
I got it.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
And you're right,
Well, and the good thing is a Richlands guy who's their manager, easy to call, Bart Warner.
Yeah, he talked to us
He'll
for
help us.
hours.
Yeah. So that's a possibility. I'm just saying to supply us with the accurate information that they have additionally. So, Mike, are you clear on what council wants? Seth, you good? Gary, Rick?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yeah, I'm good.
Dan, Laura? Okay, thank you. I think it's an important move forward, and we're doing it very carefully. Thank you. Okay. Next, Roman numeral 10E, Tazewell County Fire MOU update. Jason?
Thank you, Mayor. The county, to the best of my understanding, over the past 3 years, has been utilizing some of their ARPA dollars to provide one-time grants to the towns. I believe that they have done, worked with Tazewell, have worked with Bluefield, and this is our year in FY '25. They're providing a one-time grant of $100,000. And in return, they're just simply asking us to extend the current MOU that we have with the county 2 years. So this would extend the agreement from July 1, 2025 to to June 30th, 2027. There is a provision that if we don't use this for fire services, that they will deduct the $100,000 from a future payment for our contract with them. However, we plan on using this funding either for a fire station or for fire apparatus, one or the other, depending on how we move forward with the Annex project. This is a simple update to the MOU. It's no different than the updates that we do with Tazewell County Public Schools or with Little League or RYBC. But I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I'm probably going to defer to Mike on some of this. Thank you.
Need a motion?
Yes.
I'd just like to say that I'd like to thank Laura for her hard work on this, and this isn't really written this way, but so you understand. Another community got $100,000 for a bridge, and we're getting our $100,000 for fire and rescue. So, but that's because Laura attends the meetings, and she speaks up for Richlands. So, thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Any other comments on this? Would you like a motion to approve this, Jason?
Yes, sir, I would.
Okay, Rick?
Tell Lord to go ahead and make it.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Laura makes the motion. Is there a
Second, Mr. Mayor.
And it's seconded by Seth. Is there any discussion on this motion to adopt the MOU extension? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Seth?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion carries. It is unanimous. We have a new life. Thank you. All right, next, Roman numeral 10F, leaf truck. Jason?
Thank you, Mayor. I joke sometimes that being a budget person, I constantly live about 7 or 8 months in advance of where I'm actually at. We're here in the middle of August. We're going to blink once or twice, and we're going to be picking up leaves. Right now, we do not have any equipment to pick up leaves. We have a chipper, we have several dumps, but we do not have any of the vacuum pieces to be able to pick up leaves. It's my understanding that last year That was a bit of a problem, and so I'd like to be able to get out ahead of this. What I've done is I've worked with my staff, and we have two opportunities here, again, using Sourcewell quotes. A brand-new leaf truck that is just on a trailer, not attached to the truck itself, which allows us a little bit of versatility into how we store the leaves once we collect those, is quoted at $71,768. In our discussions with the group that we're looking at, they have a used piece of equipment that was originally purchased by VDOT. It only has 25 hours of usage on it, which is nothing for a leaf truck on that, and they have reduced that cost to $35,000. So basically, you were getting a almost brand new leaf suction for half the price that you would otherwise. I am asking if you would like to move forward with this. This is on the lot. I need to have a decision to them by tomorrow because they've held this for me to get to this meeting this evening. This is not budgeted in our budget right now, so this would require a subsequent budget amendment that we would bring for you in September. But if you vote this evening to approve this, we can go forward with being able to purchase this, come back with the budget amendment in September, and be able to make this whole for you. More than happy to answer any questions.
Jason, I think it's a great thing personally, and I'm speaking for me, but I think other council members would be in favor, but I don't know. It seems to me, maybe it's broken. We used to have an enormous hose that sucked them up. Is it over and done with?
I believe so. I'm not aware that we have that anymore.
I've seen it because they've been on my street, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
It's my understanding right now that if we are not moving forward with some piece of machinery, we're going to be out with rakes and a dump truck.
Is there a motion to authorize Jason to move forward with the leaf
So
truck?
moved.
All right, he makes the motion. Who seconded it? Laura seconds it. Is there any discussion on this motion?
I got a question.
Yes, sir, Gary.
Can this be pulled by pickup, one of our 250s?
Yes, sir, it can be. And again, what we're looking at long-term is that in the budget right now, we have a garbage truck. We have that on order. We expect that probably in the December timeframe. I'm actually meeting with the financial advisors to begin to set up the loan for that in anticipation of taking ownership of that in December. Once we take ownership of that, we currently have 3 old garbage trucks that will no longer be useful. We plan on taking one of those, taking the back off of it, keeping the compactor on it, and that way, this is a tow behind, so we can tow behind it, have this go into the compactor for the garbage truck. That allows us to be able to compact these leaves. I would eventually like to begin to compost these so that we can use that for beautification around town, but that may be another year out before we're at that point. But this is towable by an F-150 or an F-250, and we can be able to use it to be able to go into our dumps right now, and then in the future, we should be able to make some adjustments to an old trash truck to be able to use for this purposes. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Gary. Any other questions on this motion?
I just wanted to make a comment that in the fall, that's probably, we get tons of calls about when you're going to get our leaves. So it's something I think that is necessary if we want to keep our town looking neat and clean.
And people happy.
Right.
I agree with you, Jan, and it is a necessity. Okay, any further comments? There being no further discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Seth?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion carries. It is unanimous, and you'll come in September with the budget amendment to accommodate this.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jason. All right, moving right along, Roman numeral 10G, banking investments, RFP, RFQ. Okay, and we've got quite a lot of paperwork here. Jason, would you like to expand on this or expound on it?
I will defer to Ronnie on this.
Ronnie?
Yes,
please.
I've been working on this one. Mr. Mayor, Town Council, I know we came before you some months ago. We were going to start looking at our banking situation and looking at consolidating accounts where we can, and also looking at maximizing returns. We wanted to get through the budget planning sessions and some other initiatives, and we have gone through all of the accounts. We have about 30 accounts between 5 banks. Some of these accounts are split 4 ways amongst the different funds in the general ledger. Our goal here is to come up with some better operating efficiencies around making deposits, transfers, and movements of monies between investments and what have you, and possibly looking at a different banking system. We would like to do an RFQ. The main goal here is to seek higher investment yields, better returns. The operating efficiencies, that'll be something our group will have to evaluate once we get into this. But we would hope to have a situation where maybe we're down to only a couple of banks. We can utilize their online systems to do the transfers and things of that nature versus having to go to the branch because we have so many different banks. So at this time, the financial impact would hope, to see what we can get as far as returns. I'm not even sure how long it's been since we've gone through this initiative or process. So hopefully we'll get some decent feedback on what's out there as far as investments now. And we can also look at utilizing a more stable system or uniform system across these different banks. So that's where we are with that.
Ronnie, we had mentioned this previously. I think didn't our auditors suggest, or someone did, that we try to consolidate some of these accounts? And I'm reading the recommendations. Staff will work through the operating efficiencies and request approval from the town council to issue an RFQ for banking investments. I think that's a good thing. Is there any discussion from the council, and is there a motion to authorize our administration to move forward with an RFQ?
I'll make the motion.
All right, Laura makes the motion, and Gary has the second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Basically, what we're talking about is consolidation for efficiency and every other good thing we can get out of it.
And hopefully achieving some higher yields, returns on this.
Yes. Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? And will these also be on EVA?
Yes, sir, they will. I was going to mention that. These will be on EVA as well.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say that, with Ronnie here and the job that they're doing, most of these accounts should have never been open. It's a common accounting practice that you would account for all of these things, but it's unnecessary to have 1,000 individual accounts. It just makes no sense. And then you don't know who the signers are, and it just creates multiple issues.
Great questions.
Yeah, so this is the best.
What you're saying.
Yeah, should have been done a long time ago, but I've been
got it.
pushing Ronnie and Jason on this for quite some time, but they've been very busy with other things, but I thank you for getting this to this point.
Thank you,
Yes.
Seth. Did I overspeak? It does create questions, don't you think?
Well, yeah.
I stood at the podium for a long time before you guys got here as a citizen, just through FOIA stuff with the financial reports, and asked why we had
It's crazy.
so many bank accounts, and people didn't think we had that many.
And our auditors recommended we don't do this.
Yeah, and so we're following what we paid, the advice we paid for.
Yeah.
All right, so we have
basically-
a motion, I
Yeah,
think.
go ahead.
Do we have a motion?
We did,
And
yeah,
a
I made
second?
the motion, Gary.
All right. Is there any further discussion on this motion? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Seth,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're on Roman numeral 10H, yard sign resolution, and we have it here. And I'll just read this if you don't mind. Okay. So we have a summary at last month's council meeting. Laura, I think you mentioned yard signs, didn't you? I did. Yes. So we have the potential to act on this. So at last month's council meeting, council provided approval for the removal of yard signs in the right-of-way. This resolution is coming up. This is an explanation of the resolution. All right. This resolution provides more clarity around the process summary below. This documentation is Resolution R 2024-0801 by the Town Council of Richlands, Virginia, prohibiting the placement of yard signs in public rights-of-way. Here's a summary of the key points. Purpose: to maintain the aesthetic appeal, safety, and functionality of public rights-of-way in Richlands. 2, rationale: yard signs in public rights-of-way can create visual clutter. They can obstruct sight lines for drivers and pedestrians. They can interfere with maintenance activities. They can detract from the overall appearance of the town, which goes with the word aesthetics. Now, main resolution. It's an important word. Main resolution prohibits any person, organization, or entity from placing, installing, or maintaining yard signs within any public right-of-way in Richlands. Enforcement: the town manager or designee can remove any sign found in a public right-of-way without notifying the owner. Removed signs will be held at the town hall for 30 days. Turn the page. All right, after 30 days, unclaimed signs may be disposed of. Adoption: the resolution is to be adopted in August 2024. The financial impact and funding source: this has no financial impact. The recommendation is to approve this resolution. May I read it, council? The resolution is proper.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Resolution R 2024-0801. Are we okay? Okay. A resolution of the Town of Richlands prohibiting the placement of yard signs in public rights-of-way. Whereas the Town Council of Richlands, Virginia is committed to maintaining the aesthetic appeal, safety, and functionality of public rights-of-way in the town, and whereas the proliferation of yard signs in public rights-of-way can create visual clutter, obstruct sight lines for drivers and pedestrians, interfere with maintenance activities, and detract from the overall appearance of the town. And, whereas the Town Council of Richlands, Virginia has determined that it is in the best interest of public safety, community aesthetics. Let's circle that word, please, aesthetics. Okay. And efficient maintenance of public spaces to prohibit the placement of yard signs in public rights-of-way. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Richlands Town Council hereby restricts the ability for any person, organization, or entity to place, install, or maintain any yard sign within the public right-of-way within the Town of Richlands. Be it further resolved that if any yard sign is found in a Town of Richlands right-of-way, the town manager or his designee shall be entitled to remove such signs without having to give notice to the true owner of such sign, and such sign will be held at the Richlands Town Hall for a period of 30 days after such removal from the true owner to claim such sign. Upon the expiration of 30 days, and the sign will be and is still unclaimed, the town manager or his designee shall have the ability to dispose of such sign. A witness whereof the foregoing was adopted by the Town Council of Richlands, Virginia on this 13th day of August 2024. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
There's a motion by Rick. Is there a second?
Second.
Seth makes a second. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Mayor, I just want to clear up something.
Yes, sir.
You know, they do a lot of yard selling. So, so basically yard sale signs as well, or what? I mean, they're putting them on poles, signs, I understand, trying to get them up the road where they're at or whatever. Is that good for that day and be removed, or how's that going to work?
What our plan is that, again, if we will go around on Monday and go see if there's yard sale signs at that point in time, we'll remove those. But again, we won't remove those in anticipation of the yard sale. This is more just to be able to, this is more for traditional yard sale signs. I think Ms. Mahler had mentioned there's a gentleman that's trying to sell pools and be able to do that. Much more interested in those in anticipation of the election this fall. I'm much less concerned about yard sale signs. Those are temporary.
Okay.
This is much more in the vein of being able to remove those signs that are there for a much more permanent basis.
I was just wanting to clarify because, it reads yard signs and, there's going to be questions. So So basically, if somebody puts in has a yard sale that day, they should be removed that evening, basically.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Gary, that's a really important point. I must tell a quick story. Years ago, when my mother was very sick, and Laura, my mom was sick for a dozen years. Jan, you know that, and Seth knows that because you appointed me to the Appalachian Agency Board for that. Thank you. I remember that. But that being said, one of the ladies who helped my mom, she said, I can hardly wait till the election is over because they're interfering with my yard sale signs. They're important to people. Okay? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
So,
I
we
just
must
have-
consider that.
2 comments, Jason. One, I appreciate the way that you've written this. I would not want the police department to be the enforcement agent
No,
on
sir,
this.
they are not going to be the enforcement agency.
And then the second piece of that is, all I ask is that you be consistent. And that, I think that's the 2 most important things that we can do, because those are issues that we've had in the past. I don't want that same issue. So as long as we're consistent and it's you or your designee, which is not the police department, then I'm good with that.
Yes, sir, and that's our plan is we're in the process of hiring a beautification person to be able to help with trash throughout the town, but this will also be one of their responsibilities. And again, when we look at the public right-of-way, we're going to clear the entire right-of-way of all signs at that point in time. Again, yard signs being the one exception.
One
Like
last,
sales signs. Yeah, we want to be clear about that. And the reason I told that story is it tells me how important those yard sale signs are to people.
Do we have the right of way defined?
That's
Because
what I was getting
know
ready to
when
say.
I had asked during the election, could not get a straight answer, and I asked multiple entities. So sometimes it's 20 foot from the center of the road, sometimes it's 50. Do we know that?
We will work to make sure that we get a GIS map that is put
Perfect.
out to be able to show
Excellent.
where those right-of-ways are and to be able to show how far off of that road those are.
And it's different throughout.
That's
yeah,
an excellent.
I was going to say, my recommendation would be if you would color code a map for your person, laminate it, and let it put them, that way they know.
And we'll have that on Facebook and on our website as well.
Excellent.
Thank
I've
you
got a
very
couple
much.
comments, too.
Yes, go ahead, Laura.
Are you okay with the 30 days, or should we
30
shorten
days is
that,
fine
or-
with me. Again, we're planning on putting them in storage during that time period. The bigger concern for me is just making sure that we're doing this on a regular basis. I don't want us to do it 1 week and then follow through. And that's why I want to make sure that this is not a our police department has mission creep the same as every other police department does, where anything that nobody else wants to do, we turn and ask our police department to do so. I want this to be much more of a beautification aspect. Again, I think the mayor is correct when we talk about the aesthetics of it. When you have multiple signs, and we know many of the corners that we're speaking of, well, you drive past those, it does not lend itself to the beautification that we're trying to do for the town.
And other than that, I just agree with Seth about the consistency of it. The fiberglass pools man has driven me crazy from here to Bristol. I mean, my husband's always like, you got to give it to him. He's a hustler, right? And I'm like, from Hidden Valley to the end of Kent's Ridge, there's like 15 of them. And Hidden Valley has kind of become the sign graveyard there, and the entrance to Lake Park, and there by Valero, and but yeah, just consistent, because
The
sometimes
crossing into the brickyard.
yeah, and sometimes
We all see that, and go ahead, Laura.
I was just gonna say sometimes they're, everybody's got their own hustle, but sometimes it's like even adopt a kid or donate here, and as much as you want to help that stuff, as long as we stay consistent about. They all go.
Okay, we'll do our best. I think that's the best policy the town can take, because I don't want to say that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, may we have a roll call vote on this resolution?
Yes, sir. Seth?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Thank you.
It is unanimous. This resolution has been adopted by the council. Next, Roman numeral 10I, Richlands Annex Capital Project Ordinance. Okay, who would like to take this? Jason?
Mayor, I'd like to hand these out first, and then I'm going to ask Mike to read us the ordinance as I'm doing that. Mike, would you be so kind as to read that as I hand these out?
I can do that. This is ordinance number O-2024-09-01, Title III Administration, Chapter 36 Capital Improvement Accounts. This is creation of new ordinance 36.03. Be it ordained by the Council of the Town of Richlands, Virginia, pursuant to Section 2.23 and 3.42 of the Town Charter, Section 32.45, 32.46, and 32.48 of the Richlands Town Code, and Virginia Code Section 15.2-2501 and 15.2-2505. The council hereby implements Section 36.03 of the Town Code regarding a capital improvement account for the Richlands Annex capital account. Section 36.03 Richlands Annex Capital Account. A, the town hereby establishes a capital project account for the Richlands Annex project, which shall comprise of A combined fire station and rescue squad building with 4 bays for the fire station and 3 bays for the rescue squad. B, a public works building. C, a salt container building. D, a pole barn store for public works apparatus. E, concrete work for the entire project space. F, HVAC systems for all buildings. G, electrical systems for all buildings. H, interior carpentry for all buildings. B, funding for this account may come from any or all of the following sources. A, monies appropriated and made available by the town. B, grants from state or federal agencies. C, donations or contributions from private individuals or organizations. D, bond proceeds if applicable. E, any other monies which may be made available to the town for the purpose of this project. C, any money held in this account shall be used solely for planning, construction, and completion of the Richlands Annex project. Upon completion of such project, any remaining money held in the account may be further held in this account for maintenance of the Richlands Annex or transferred to another capital improvement project as deemed appropriate by the Richlands Town Council. D, this account shall have its own line item of the town's budget starting fiscal year 2025 and each fiscal year thereafter. E, the town manager or his designee shall provide quarterly reports to the town council on the status of the Richlands Annex project and the balance of the capital account. And if you all recall, there's 2 other capital accounts that have been, actually one other one was the grapple truck. So this is essentially the same thing, just for the Richlands Annex.
What this does, council, is this provides a pathway for us to be able to maintain, fund, and to be able to provide reporting to you on the capital project. What this does is it sets up an account within our existing bank accounts where you will provide funding, and then we will have expenses being taken out of this. This is a generally accepted accounting practice that matches up with GAAPs and with GASB, where we are providing basically a special fund or a capital account at this point in time for the purpose to be able to look at building these buildings and to be able to revamp this space over at off of Railroad Road. What I've provided for you, again, this evening is our first reading of this. I want to make you aware, and we're going to be scanning this and have this both on our website and on the Facebook page first thing in the morning, because I want to make sure that this is out. We just got finished with this, so we've been spending a great deal of time, and I want to make sure that I put a special thanks for Mr. Shepard, Mr. Chief Whited, and Chief Keith have been a very large part of this process. What you have in front of you is the work. You've provided us the opportunity to be able to put forth an RFP for both the fire station rescue squad building. What we have done is contracted with them to be able to look at a public workspace that is under 100,000. So we are getting additional quotes on that to make sure that we follow our correct procurement process. What we have done is also look at the rest of the buildings that need to be either replaced or renewed over in that space. That includes the salt building, the pole barns that we have that are very old and don't work very well, and to be able to have spreader attachments, the same that VDOT does. My goal is to be able to provide this for you this evening so that you can review this over the next month. What I will have at the September meeting is a PowerPoint presentation where I will show you some of the state of disrepair for some of these buildings, including the salt building, the public workspace right now, the fire station, the current rescue squad, and their current condition. What we are looking at and what we have laid out here for you is some preliminary cost estimates. Again, my team has gotten to the point where we have laid out both where we look at placing these buildings in the larger scheme of the land that we own over in this space, but also within both the rescue squad, fire station, and the public workspace. We've done grid work to scale, and this is included in this. And then we have gone further, not just what the cost of the buildings are going to be, but how much sheetrock we're going to need, how many 2x4s we're going to need. The fire station rescue squad building is over the 10,000 square feet for the county, so it will require a sprinkler system as well. We have that in there. We are working right now. One of the last pieces that we don't have estimates on is the fan or the exhaust system for the fire station, given the fact that this is going to have living quarters attached to it, so that we're no longer living in this weird land between being a municipal and being a volunteer fire department. Having living quarters here qualifies us as a municipal fire department. That opens us up for new grant opportunities to be able to move forward. But in part of that, Gary, Mr. Jackson will tell you is that we have to make sure that we have a means of being able to contain and dispose of any of the exhaust fumes on the fire apparatus and the rescue squad ambulances that we have. Again, my team's been working on this literally for the past 6 months. We've laid out, we've cleared out most of the space out there. We feel like we have a very good understanding of what this cost is going to be. On the revenue side, again, I don't want to go into too much great detail this evening, because we'll be able to go into a little bit more in September. We'll have more firm numbers at that point in time. But right now, in front of you, Ronnie and his team have pulled together, and this is a document that says Town of Richlands Income Statement 2023 to 2024. The last page on this, you will see at the very bottom on page 18, it will show actuals. And what we are looking at right now, and this is early in this process, so again, this may move. We feel like we've got a very good handle on all of the expenses that have been placed into this, but we're still working through a little bit on the revenue side. What we are looking at is on the revenue side having a surplus of $839,148. That means that we brought in over $800,000 in additional revenue last year above and beyond what was in the budget. What we have done is we have a cost savings on the expense side of $88,011. That provides you a preliminary surplus at the end of FY24 of $927,159. That, in conjunction with some of the other funding sources that we are looking at, will provide the opportunity for the town to not only be able to move forward with this capital project, but to be able to do this without any usage of additional fund balance or the need to be able to finance any additional bond funding for this project. Again, we will have much more firm numbers for you at the September meeting. We will also have budget amendments at that point in time to be able to walk through. What we are looking for at this point in time, from a staff perspective, is for you to be able to read through this and be able to give us comments. Again, I'm more than happy to be able to sit down and meet with you over the next month to be able to hear if you have concerns about any of the work that's been put in this, any of the cost estimates to be able to do this. But at this point in time, I will tell you that my team's worked very, very hard on this. And right now, we're in the $1.2 million range. And that includes a new fire station, a new rescue squad, a public works building, an updated salt building, pole barns to be able to cover all of the $3.8 million worth of assets that you have at the public workspace, including a loader that has sat out in the rain for the past 32 years at that space, to also to be able to include 2 bays for mechanics, one for the mechanic that we have on right now, the second for the mechanic that I'm looking to be able to bring on to staff, and to be able to have all of our spreaders, all of our plows, all of our signs up underneath roofs. And so at that point in time, I'm more than happy to answer any questions if you would like to this evening. But I really would ask you to be able to take some time, digest this, and be able to come back with any questions that you have in the September. And if there are any questions you have in the interim, we're more than happy to be able to answer that.
Thank you, Jason. And so, Mike, you've read this, so we have had a first reading. Okay, council, do you have any questions for Jason or Mike, or any comments regarding this? And I do appreciate your offer to meet with everyone to talk about any details that they would like to discuss. Any questions or thoughts from council? Okay. Shall we move forward? Okay, we are on Roman numeral 11, monthly financial report. Ronnie?
All right, we'll go through the year-end results that are supporting the information that Jason just provided you as far as the surplus. We'll start with the general fund, but also these numbers include all the budget amendments that have been approved in the last 2 or 3 sessions, as well as we've got all the actual expenses in here as well. And most of this information, we still got a little bit of review left, but it's going to be the basis for the fiscal year 2024 audit. We're getting ready to start submitting information to the auditors probably as early as August, and get that audit on, keep that audit on schedule for December 15th. So we'll start with the general fund. Year-to-date net loss variance primarily results from, we have lower expenses in finance, IT, community development, police, street, sanitation departments. That was offset by some capital purchases. Revenues are lower in consumption, consumer utility tax, personal property taxes, sales tax proceeds, and other revenues and garbage collections. That hurt of 88% of budget, or $1.1 million, is offsetting the net help. But I would like to point out that $1.1 million, and Jason, I hope it's okay if I say this, that included a budgeted amount to move funds from restricted balance that we have not had to do. So we have a budget of income in that nature without any actuals posted to it. So that's actually a good fact. All of these differences and variances are in line with the trends that we were seeing early in the year. I would at this point say, if we're at the end of the fiscal year, they're permanent for the most part. On the water fund, we had a year-to-date net loss variance, primarily from lower revenues that offset the higher expenses and capital purchases hurt of about 121.6%, or $270,000. Once again, those variances or drivers are all permanent at this time. On the sewer side, year-to-date net income variance results from lower revenues hurt. They only came in at 89% of budget, or $192K lower, and capital purchase offset by a lower expenses help of 99% of budget, or $9,000. The water sewer line maintenance fund, this is, once again, it's just expenses, but what appears to be a loss is really a help on the budget versus actuals of 83.9%, or about $77,000 from a dollar standpoint. Those drivers are all permanent as well. And then on the electric fund, the year-to-date net loss, I think most people know that, with not having access to the power cost adjustment and having that 5 to 6 months rate reduction attributed to a lot of this. But we also had lower expenses offsetting that of about $32,000, or 99.6% of budget. The revenues, expenses, and capital, they're all permanent differences at this time. And that's the high-level view. Any questions on the high-level view?
Is there anything we need to adjust, or that we already haven't? Okay.
Any questions? Go ahead, Ronnie. Any
yeah.
questions at this point for Ronnie?
Okay.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
The next attachment is the detailed view. If there's any items in here that you want to, either meet on or want to see the GL detail, just let us know, and we'll be glad to provide that to you. And then the last attachment is the reserves. On the general fund, we're almost at $5 million on reserve cash balance. That's almost $600K increase from May. The projected is in about 2.1 million, no change from May on the projections. On the next page is the water fund, unreserved cash balance, $1.1 million, a 17,000 decrease from May. On the projected side, there was no change, still at a about $700,000 surplus there. On the sewer department, unreserved cash balance is a negative 1.5 million. That did increase slightly from May of $12,000. Amanda is working on getting all the year-end audit adjustments posted from the last two audits. We're done with 22, we're working on 23, so this little variance between between sewer and the general fund should clear here soon with those entries posted. The projected for the sewer was $898,000. That's no change for May as well. On the electric fund, we have unreserved cash balance of about $3 million. Now, last month, I think it was relatively low, but this one swings quite a bit with the timing of the AMP payments. They sometimes hit the last week of the month or the first week of the following month. So that balance actually went up about $890,000 from May. And then the projected no change from May. And then in July, we did make the payment to Quantum, so you'll see that coming out of the unreserved cash balance in July.
And we are in the process of closing on the line of credit, so that will be a little bit of ships passing in the night. We've made that deposit of the 2.1 million. Once we close on the line of credit, we'll reimburse ourselves from that line of credit while we work to begin to look to go to bond for that natural gas generator project.
And that's all I had on the cash reserves and cash balances, unless anybody has any questions.
Council, any questions for Ronnie at this point?
Thank you.
Any more, Ronnie?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Always thorough and much appreciated. Thank you. Okay, town manager report, Jason. Oh, pardon me, attorney report, Mike. I just skipped you, Mike, sorry.
Oh, a couple months ago, I know that Seth had requested about a charter change for the reading. I just want to hopefully call everybody's attention. If there's anything in the charter that you would like to see changed, we want to do this in one step because it is a pretty lengthy process to be able to do that. We got to have, I believe, Senator Hackworth on board and Delegate Moorfield. So I don't think they would have a problem with it, but it would just be easier if we have everything at once. So.
Is there a deadline for that for you, Mike?
Well, it would be when they're in session, so we'd want to get it to them probably in the next couple of months because they go back in January.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Mike?
No.
Okay. Yes. Sure. Let's take 10. 10-minute recess. Thank you.
We were rolling
Seth.
along pretty good.
It's personal. Council is now back in session. We are on Roman numeral 13, Town Manager Report. Jason.
Quick. I wanted to bring both council and citizens' attention. Our Richlands Fire and Rescue Group are providing free CPR and first aid classes. I believe that they are doing a class of 15, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that filled up in about an hour. We're going to be offering subsequent classes in the future, so please keep an eye on our social media and town website to be able to get more information about that. I did want to make you aware, one of the things that we are looking at is making some subdivision ordinance changes. In anticipation of, the Tobacco Commission has put forward about $2 million to assist in workforce housing. One of the things that we are looking at right now is our subdivision requirements for R2 developments are at 6,250 square feet. That's about 2,200 square feet more than what the county requires. In order for us to really be able to maximize some of these subdivision lots, and when we try to convert maybe mobile home parks into subdivisions where people can purchase homes and be able to do that, we're in the process of working through that. We're also looking at an R3 subdivision. This would be for temporary housing to allow RV parks and tiny homes and travel trailers to be able to be brought into town. Again, this would only be with the owners would have to come forward to request this. Any of that subdivision, any of those zoning changes would be notified of. All of the surrounding properties would be notified of this. But with us moving, trying to pivot towards more tourism and trying to bring more trails into town, looking to really be able to bring UTVs, ATVs, others into town, this is one of the things that we've seen in many of the towns that already do this, both in St. Paul and in Grundy and some of the other towns that are looking at this as well. So we're in the process of going through that. We've met with the Planning Commission. We are tying up some loose ends, making sure that our friends in legal have all of our I's dotted and T's crossed. We look to bring this back to you in September. So if any of you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me in advance of that, because we would like to be able to come back in September with a first reading for those adjustments and to look at October for a final reading on that.
So,
want to
quick
make
question, Jason.
Please.
The Planning Commission is taking this up, or
Yes,
has taken it
They
up?
have. We've debriefed them at this month's Planning Commission. We look to be able to have a vote at next month's Planning Commission in anticipation of bringing this to full council.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to make you aware, Ronnie had mentioned it, we have made the initial deposit on the generator. We are working through contract negotiations, I guess is the best word, but really it's just trying to make sure that we all have our I's dotted and T's crossed on the contract. We are looking to move to close on the line of credit. You awarded that at the special meeting in July. We are in the process of working with our partners to be able to get that closed. And then I'm going to push off the fire rescue fundraising update till next month. We needed to get a little bit more information on that. And I'm more than happy to answer any other questions. Thank you, Council.
Jason, thank you. Anyone have questions for Jason? You're safe. Thank you. Okay. Moving right along. Council member reports. Laura.
Just two quick things tonight. I know we talked about it before, but just for the sake of the public, can you give an update on the Oriole Street Bridge, please?
Yes, ma'am. Folks in the neighborhood should be aware there has been equipment that's been moved in. They are looking to begin to start the abutment process later this week or the beginning of next week. The steel fabricators are due to deliver the steel to the construction firm at the end of this month. We look to the beginning of September to hopefully have this project get completed. Again, they only make bridge steel steel about twice a year. It's been a little bit of a drag on our timeline to be able to get this done. I believe if we get this done in September, we would have this bridge closed for just a little bit over a year, which for a bridge project's not the worst timeline in the world. Again, we had to go through a couple of changes within leadership to be able to get to that, but we looking within the next 30 days to be able to have that project complete.
Thank you. Also, when we got the check ledger tonight, I just noticed that we were doing advertisements in Bluefield Daily Telegraph. Are we still advertising in The Voice as well?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I don't mind to do both, but I just want to make sure because The Voice is the largest read newspaper in our area.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just wanted to say thank you guys for the concert on Saturday. My family, well, my husband and I came for the ribbon cutting and played cornhole, and he beat me by 1 point. But I did get it in the hole 3 times, but and I had never played before. But, you know, as I was leaving, somebody said that they were a little bit nervous that maybe a lot of people wouldn't show up. And I said, you know, I think for people here, consistency is key to see that we're not going to give them a taste of something good and then never do it again. But, you know, there were a ton of people. I had a ton of compliments on it. The picture, the before and after picture of that stage, I know not to bring it back up, but the stage was not your project, and it was not done properly. I'll say that. I wasn't pleased with it, but you took something that was not a positive thing, and you turned it into something really great, not only financially, but going from that empty parking lot to having grass there, the fence, and the little playground inside. I know you guys are doing everything you can, and I thought the event was great, and the turnout was great. I think people enjoyed it, and like I said, I had just a ton of compliments about and somebody told me, actually, Kristen told me that this band actually came to Richlands in, I think don't quote me, but I think she said 2004, and did kind of like a street concert then, and a lot of people had talked about how they were here then, and now they're here now, and just kind of a full circle, beautiful thing. So it was nice that on such a nice weathered weekend, Richlands was in the mix on an event. So I appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you, Laura. Jan?
I just have one thing, and I talked to Jason about this the other day, about a possible scam on the electric. I got a call at the store the other day, and the guy said he was with AEP. And I said, well, why would you be calling me? I'm with Richlands Town Power. So he said, well, let me transfer you. And a lady came on, and she said, this is Richlands. And she didn't put the S on it, Richland Town Power. I said, oh, okay. She said, what can I do for you? I said, nothing. You called me. She said, well, if you don't pay your bill. I said, hold it right there. Good luck with that. Go ahead and cut it off. And I hung up. So I just want to make people aware, that there are scammers out there, and we get them every day. But that's
Sad
all I
but
have.
true, Jan. Okay. Anything else, Jan?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Jordan?
Sweet. So just a few quick small things. The potholes and drainage over at Kelsey Tire, were you able to reach out to Mr. Sawyers and figure something out?
We've completed those. Those potholes
Sweet.
have been fixed.
That's what we like to hear. Okay. The next one, I've got a bunch of small complaints, and most of them, the common denominator amongst all of them is getting through to town hall. I mean, like, they're the smallest things. They're not even worth mentioning here. Are we, like, our phones changed?
No, but if I'm not mistaken, the main line goes to Miss Witt's office, and Miss
Yep.
Witt has been out right now, so that's probably part of that.
Okay.
We will make that adjustment and be able
Yeah.
to adjust that so that everybody can get through.
Yeah, so these are the
Apologies to
smaller
citizens.
things. So, okay, that makes more sense. I also want to give a big shout out for the event that you all had. It was amazing. Ribbon cutting was fun. I had tons of compliments from all ages. And I actually fielded multiple text messages saying, is there really a foam machine in Richlands? And I said, yes, there is in fact. Tons of my players reached out, and that made me very happy. Clinch River Soccer is having their Field Fest next Tuesday. I believe signups are still going. Don't quote me on that. But that is their big field day, coaches clinic, everything. So try to go out next Tuesday. What else do I have? Oh, Halloween. So found out today that there's no school the day after Halloween in Tazewell County. So I would like to propose that we go ahead and set Halloween to be on October 31st, 6 to 8. That way we get out in front of all the other events that inevitably come along. So I don't think we need a motion or anything on that, but if we could just give consensus if that's okay. I talked to Chief Holt. I touched base with Jason today. I would like to go ahead and get that posted. That way parents can plan, because Halloween's not just Halloween. We all know that. It starts Wednesday and it goes through that following Sunday. Awesome. And
On the 31st.
yep, so the 31st, is 6 to 8 is when I think we should have actual Halloween in the town of Richlands, if everybody's okay with that. Yeah, trick-or-treating. Yes, trick-or-treating. My bad. Yes. Is everybody on board with that?
6 to 8.
I think so. That's what we've done in the past, and Chief Holt agreed.
I think you need to do it at 5 because it starts, you gotta remember, don't we start getting dark at that time?
It does, but last year, we can do 5 to 8. I think that's
I
fine.
think you need to do it 5 days.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 5 or 5:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had, I can add to that, because you know, too, we all know, we live here. We've had it 6 to 8, 5 to 8, 5:30 to 8.
Yeah,
Compromise, 5:30,
I think that's fine. 8 o'clock, so I feel like it's a bigger number here.
5:30.
Yeah.
I'm good with 5 or 5:30.
Evening and early is the key.
Yes, 100%. 100%. All right, so 5 to 8.
5:30 to 8 is what?
Oh,
I just-
we want to do 5:30 to 8?
Sounds good.
Everybody good? Good. Can we post
go.
that? Sweet. Okay, that's all of mine.
Okay, thank you. I would think we need a motion for that, so there's no backing out of it. Make a motion.
I make a motion that the town of Richlands observes trick-or-treating October 31st from 5:30 to 8 p.m.
Is there a second? Gary makes a second. Any discussion on the motion? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Seth,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, Jordan. Anything else, sir?
No.
Okay. Rick?
The only thing I have down is down Lake Park. I got asked about this the other day. We've got the park down there now. We've got kids that's walking to it. And the cars are traveling pretty fast. They're wanting signs put up coming down Lake Park saying children playing. Then they'd like to have the speed limit on that little bitty narrow bridge reduced to 15 if we could do that.
Again, we will, we're in the process of trying to get the comprehensive speed plan out. It's still a little bit out, but what we can do, we've had a couple of conversations with a couple of citizens in certain areas, especially around the children playing. We can definitely get that out, and then once we get the full speed plan out, we can incorporate that 15 miles an hour into that area.
I think the problem is now, where the Oral Street Bridge is out, we've got more traffic going over here.
Yes, sir.
And the kids are playing right here, and that's what's worrying.
What we can also do is we can get, we're in the process, part of it is trying to look at some pedestrian crossing signs. And so what we can do is to be able to paint pedestrian crossing at that space. That way gives a little bit more credence to that. And then we can incorporate that 15 miles an hour. Again, my hope is that by the time we're pulling together at next month's regular session, that we've got an Oriole Street Bridge that's complete and having cars go over top of it, because I do think that will eliminate a good portion of that traffic. But again, I will work to do our best and have an update for you at next month's meeting.
Thank you, guys. That's all I have.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, Gary?
Let's see. I had a few things in July, but Jason, and I brought them to Jason, and he's already taken care of them, which I appreciate it, Jason. Thank you. Only thing else I have is actually, had a complaint coming in today. You can add it to the list, Henderson Street speeding. And other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
I passed that on to Chief Holt. There was I passed it on to Chief
Where's
Holt.
Henderson Street?
Henderson Street is between Valero and the
Yeah.
Masonic Lodge.
I'm getting a lot of complaints over there of people parking on the road. And I think, I agree that speeding can be an issue, but I really think that we need to, just let people know. What happens is you're creating a bottleneck when people are parking on the road. I've gotten, I don't know, probably 30 phone calls from people over the last few months that it's out of control. And I agree that we definitely need to monitor the speeding, but we also need to start issuing citations for people parking on the road there. I think that would really help. If you drive back that way, it's dangerous.
Tight.
It's very tight.
One of the things we are looking at is the limitation of parking on one side. That way it gives a little bit of clearance because it is, and again, especially for some of our larger apparatus, when we have fire trucks, rescue, some of our dumps and some of our garbage trucks going through there. Again, and this is why I'm really trying to push for a more comprehensive approach. Henderson's had rumble strips put on it. They're not happy with the rumble strips. All it does is make people, it doesn't really slow them down. We really want to look at the built environment and to be able to look and see where do we put four-way stops to be able to stop traffic. Because again, one of the things that we've looked at internally is that once you get past onto the 460 business out at the corner mart where McDonald's is, you have no stop in traffic until you get to Virginia. And so, again, I joked we had our grant writers in from DC, and I took them out to the wastewater treatment facility. And as we came back into town, I joked with them. I said, look, don't pay attention, but I said, by the time you get to that bridge, you'll be doing 45 miles an hour. And he went and drove down the way. And by the time he got to the bottom of the bridge, because you're going downhill on a 2-lane road that has parking on both sides, it's a built environment that resembles what you would expect a 45-mile-an-hour zone to be able to go through. It naturally, I've caught myself doing it on several different occasions. So that's where we want to make sure that we are looking at the ways to be able to not just use enforcement, because again, I don't want to mission creep and have my police force having to go out and write tickets, and then we become known as a speed trap town where nobody wants to go through. We want to look at those four-way stops. We want to look at some of the digital signs. You may have seen these. I think that I know Abington has some. I believe that Cedar Bluff has one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they'd be able to do that again. But we want to do that on a travel trailer because that gives us the ability to place it in Lake Park one day, and then to move it over to Farmer Street one day, then move it to Birmingham one day, because there's an inference when you have those that the police is paying attention and looking at that area at speed. And it has you can look at the data. When you place those, you'll see the speed reduced over the next month because you placed that there. So again, that's why we want to make sure that we're looking at this from a comprehensive approach, not just looking at individual neighborhoods, but also looking at it from a holistic approach, looking at the built environment, ways that we can slow traffic, ways that we can direct traffic, and not just look at it from an enforcement point of view, because again, that really just perpetuates a not great result that ends up putting citizens in our police force diametrically opposed to each other.
Yeah.
We want to be able to make sure that we're setting up an environment that produces the speed which we're wanting. That's why we're looking at the road diet for downtown, looking at some of these other roads, and looking at how do we put four-way stops. On Henderson, when you get up to the first block, putting a four-way stop there stops that traffic there. And then by the time you get to the next corner to go around that corner, you have to naturally slow down to be able to go around that corner. What happens now is that once you make that left or right onto Henderson off of Kent's Ridge, you're gone. And so it's built environment. You do have folks parked on either side, but again, that does not produce the natural consequence to be able to slow folks down. Putting four-way stops in some of that area, that prevents folks, it forces folks, even if they do what I've always been told is a California stop, it still slows them down, and it prevents them, it does not give them the space to which to be able to get back to a higher speed before they go around that corner. So again,
I think that's
appreciate
great.
the patience and all of it. I know that does not do it when we get citizens' complaints right now, but that's where we want to be able to look at is how do we not just look at enforcement, not just look at some of the other things, but look at that built environment to be able to see what are we, when we create roads, again, and Kent's Ridge is a perfect example, now that it's paved and we've got it cleared out, it presents itself in a way that you would expect a 45-mile-an-hour zone to be. We want to go back in and be able to look to see, are there ways that we can produce natural consequences or natural reductions to those areas, not just rely on we don't want the only tool that we have to be a hammer, because then all we see as the world has nails as a problem.
I think part of the issue on that road is if you have people parking on the road, okay? If you're parked on the road or you're getting in and out of your car, if someone's going 20 miles an hour, it makes it feel like they're going 50. And perception is a lot of the problem. Because when you're running yourself out in the middle of the road with your groceries or whatever, you're creating another issue that doesn't exist. But I think putting a stop sign and clearing the road there, I think it'd be great. But I think your next problem is they're all going to be griping that they can't park on the road. But we can fix one, but we can't fix both, is my opinion.
Seth, I have to agree with you, and may I add to what you're saying, there are other streets in Richlands other than Henderson that have the same issue. One of the notable ones is in the Dalton Addition, what is it, 2nd Street? People park, that's all they have to do is park on the road. It makes it very difficult. Other streets would be Buchanan Street has that issue, and there are many more. So it's not that it's an isolated street, but it's something we will try to address as a town and in a comprehensive way. I think that's what you're talking about, isn't it? So we're not just spot picking, we're trying to solve something as best we can,
One of the things that Abingdon has done over the last year on Valley Street, there's a lot of houses there that don't have any off-street parking because they were built in the 1800s. There were no cars, so that was an issue. What they've done is, I hadn't seen this before, but they did a solid line. Like, let's say that you come here and you got it 40 feet long and then another solid line to delineate clearly this is where you can park, and that seemed to make a big difference. We used to see cars get hit there consistently, and I think it's very much the same kind of thing. You're coming off of one road and then people were just ramping up. But I think as you go forward, that might be something. I'm not seeing us do that anywhere here, but I think it has been effective there.
Yes, sir. And we are looking to repaint the yellow curbs throughout the town over the coming months. They haven't been painted in a while. We want to make sure that we get those updated so that way it's very clear where you can and can't park, especially in our commercial districts. But again, I think that would be very helpful, especially in some of our residential areas.
Would it be possible to refresh the sidewalks as we're painting?
We're
Not the
actually-
sidewalks, the crosswalks.
Yes, sir. That's the other piece. We are, and again, in the process of looking both at the professional building and then at where the stage is to be able to go across and be able to put the little sign in the middle. Because again, in the state of Virginia or the Commonwealth of Virginia, pedestrians have right of way, and so it's state law that you have to yield to pedestrians. So we want to put that both at the professional building, so we know we'll have folks working at that professional building that I believe will be parking across the street. So we want to maintain that safety. But also, as we start to activate the stage more often, we want to make sure we're not always going to be able to close Front Street the way that we were this past weekend. We want to make sure that we're providing safe pathways for our pedestrians to walk. Because to Mr. White's point, I've walked many times around downtown, and even when folks are only driving 20, 25 miles an hour, which is the speed limit of downtown, it feels much faster when you're on a pedestrian or even when you're on your bike.
Jason, years ago, we had a sign that in the median or in the middle of the road, Front Street and Norfolk. So you could cross from what has been many things, where the Amar's building is, which is Mary's building, across to Richlands Florist. There was a sign right there. I don't know why it went away, but it did slow things down. And the reason I know it is my employees at Curry's, parking was at a premium, and at that time, and I paid for parking. We charged for parking in the town parking lot. And I bought all of my employees parking passes for a year so they could park there and walk down to the store so as to save spaces for customers. Now, that doesn't always work, but the intent was right. So I know that there was a sign there. Why it went away, I don't know, but we all know what you're talking about, and I think that's a good thing to research. Okay.
One other thing, Jason.
Yeah.
They make a stop, not a stop sign, a speed sign that's about the same as a regular speed limit sign. Haswell's using, they're just hanging them on different poles.
Yes.
And they catch your attention because they start blinking real bright.
That's the one that gives you either a thumbs up if you're underneath, or it gives you flashing lights to be able to go do that. We want to be able to look at those, but again, the concern is I would rather not those be permanent, because at least from my point of view, and it's just ad hoc, but I think after a period of time, especially even the one in Abington, again, it's there. I still don't speed because I don't want to do it.
They
Is it-
move it all through the town.
Okay, I'll have
You don't
to-
know where it's gonna be, but you'll pop around a curve and it's flashing, or most of the time when I go by.
Jordan and I talked about those signs, I think in regard to Henderson maybe. But I think Jordan had pointed out that the smaller signs don't collect the data, and he was interested in seeing the actual data to see if people, like, not to say that they're not speeding, but to say, before we change a speed limit, if there's 100 cars that go by, but only 2 of them are speeding, or if 100 cars go by and 90 are speeding. Jordan can speak more about it.
Yeah. So like that. So there's 2 ways to approach this. If you want like accurate data, they make little boxes that are this big. You put on every light pole you got in the town, and they track your data every time a car goes by. That would give you data, but that's not going to slow anybody down. But the option is the movability is what you want to do. That way you do, and it can actually prove the worth of the sign if you use them in tandem. The key is if we do get a sign, whether it's blinky or whether it is the little tiny one, it needs to capture the data. Otherwise, we're not going to do anything
This
with
one
it.
I'm talking about, they can open up the back of it, it tells them how many times it's
Yep.
flashed that day.
Yep. And
Yeah, that'd be
And how
great.
many
It relays too.
Cars is passed that didn't flash. So that's a good deal.
Just as a note, they had something similar to that when they were doing the I-85 construction when I lived outside of Charlotte, and they had to replace those bulbs almost on a weekly basis because nobody slowed down on I-85.
Well,
They
that's a
continued to speed right
consideration that
past
we
us.
never thought of. Can we put that in the budget? All right, anybody else? Go ahead. Rick, more?
When we paved, when I used to pave on interstates, we had these little things we could put on the paver, and it done the same thing as a radar. So when you'd see all these cars come flying over the hill, because they thought radar was sitting there. So that worked great. But, if you're going 25, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
I'm good.
You're fine. Gary, anything else for you, my
No, I'm
friend?
good.
Okay, Seth?
No, I appreciate us having that conversation. I think it's needed to have, and I agree with Jordan. I think we need the data because I'm not 100% sure that I really think more of that is a perception issue than it is a real issue. But I think we need to take those into consideration and figure that out. You guys, I'm sorry I wasn't here for Saturday. We were in North Carolina, but it was a great event. I've had really good comments, and the only thing that I heard that was a negative, but I think we can fix it for the next one, is some of the elderly folks had a hard time parking, and I think but that's good feedback, and I think we know how to correct that the next time, and so just wanted to let them know, if anybody's watching or listening, we are going to make a better effort to make sure you have a place to park, and we want you to be there. We want it to be open to everybody, and so, but I got a lot of really good feedback from that, and and just driving around the town is looking fabulous. I think we're making good improvements, and the town is just, so many things have come up. And also I just want to thank this lady again. I'm sorry I don't remember your
Ms. Sparks?
Miss Sparks. I apologize, but it's very nice. Just like Gary said, he heard a negative complaint before he came in here, and that is part of our job. I'm not angry or upset about that, but it was very nice, very refreshing to have you come today and to share your perspective and your experience in Richlands. And I just want to thank you again. That's very refreshing. You know, sometimes it's easier to make the negative comments and the negative complaints, but it's so good to hear the good things. And so we thank you for that. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Seth.
Mr. Mayor, I've got one more
Yes,
thing
go
for
ahead,
you.
sir.
I told Jason about this the other day, but Jacob Hess called me from the Wells Fargo Bank, and we've been putting a sign out on Veterans Drive out Cancer Ridge, right at Birmingham, showing the like, I think that one said the concert we was having. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Well, he said, I own the piece of property on the hill above it. Why don't y'all just put a permanent sign there? So people starting to see that the town the town is doing better, and we're trying to help everybody have fun, better place to live, better quality of life. That's what we're after. So he called me and he said, Rick, why don't y'all make a permanent sign to go up on that hill? So I talked to Jason about putting one of the LEDs that we can just put on the hill there and on a pole, then we can change whatever we want on it. That's the way to do this.
Agreed.
And they're easy grants to get for the LED signs. That's all I have.
Thank you, Rick. Anybody else from council or under council comments?
One more thing.
Yes.
Since we're all talking about all the positive comments, it was brought to my attention a couple months ago, somebody had made a really bad post about us not trying to help small businesses. And this person has now made a post saying, oh my gosh, I was wrong. I shouldn't have said that. They've hired Keisha Cole, and they said this, she's here to help. And if you need help, the town hall has answered all the questions I've had for the past 2 years. And, so I want to point that out. People are noticing that too. And, how easy it is to get a hold of you or to get a hold of Keisha. I know sometimes people might have to wait for a return call or something, but you are, it's difficult. People have to, I always tell people when somebody's standing in front of me, it is the most important issue to them, and I understand that, but when you've got 50 other issues, sometimes it takes us a second to get back to it, but I do appreciate how the list is dwindling and people are noticing that, like Rick said, and that means a lot. And Ms. Sparks, I couldn't see you back there because of that podium, but Seth is correct. It's no matter how hard you work and how hard you try, when that one negative thing comes in, it kind of wrecks you. But to hear that, it is inspiring to all of us to keep doing what we're doing. So thank you, and everybody being positive and pointing out the good. Thank you.
We was close to the school date, but we made it. I seen the post on Facebook. It said, then it was an update. You'd put an update on there, or somebody did that lived on your street saying that it's here. So it was close to school date, but we made it before school happened.
Thank you,
Thank
Rick.
you,
Thank you,
Jason.
Laura. Anybody else? We can always come back. This agenda is a fixed agenda, but we can always speak. You can't remember everything at one time. So, mayor comments. My comments tonight will echo what we've said here. I did go to the Here Phantom, and members of council were there. We understand people can't be everywhere all the time. We're not omnipresent, I guess you'd say. But nonetheless, it was a really good event. And at first, they asked me to say something regarding the dedication of the grand opening of the Greenway Park. And I did. Nobody could hear me because I was competing with the generator of the food trucks. I had prepared a little speech, and Laura was right beside me, and I asked her to put her hand in my pocket to get it out because it was in my left pocket. But the funny thing was, it was my wallet, and she said, I've got my hand on your wallet. And I said, hands off. But I did ask her to do it. And a little humor goes a long way, and I do believe in it. Thank you, Laura. So my phone, which I needed, was in my right pocket. But I pulled my little speech out, which was they were just guidelines. And I said, I don't need this. And I didn't. And I talked as loudly as I could. We didn't. These are complaints, but they're not bad things. The microphone wasn't set up. And Jason said, is the microphone here? We all just went ahead. Now, Jason probably has a more powerful voice than I do, but I can get up there. But people said, I couldn't hear what you were saying, Rod, except there's never been a better day to be in Richlands. So that's a good thing. So these are little details that don't really matter. What matters is people had a great time. They came. It was a good crowd, probably not the crowd we had hoped for, but a really good representative crowd. And this comes, and I think Laura alluded to it and everybody else here, this comes with repetition. And, structure, people get used to things. We're doing it on Friday. I know people can remember the 1st of the month and the 15th of the month for different reasons. I was in business, and I know that. And don't ask them to remember when the 45th day of the month is, because they can't remember it. But they know when things are regular. That's important, and we intend to do that. I want to take just a minute personally as Rod Curry, to say thank you to the town administration. Thank you to the town crews for being there and doing such fantastic work. They always do it, no matter what we're doing, be it the Freedom Festival, other things that we do in this town. We could not do it without them, and they deserve our thanks in every possible way that we can do. It's a heartfelt thanks. It's not necessarily a money thanks, but it is heartfelt. And the next thing is, I want to thank the Tazewell County Chamber of Commerce for coming to conduct the ribbon cutting. And we are a member, and I'm very glad that Amanda Killen, who's the new representative up there, the leader of the chamber, to come do that. And I want to give a special thanks to Keisha Cole, who also is new in her job here. And I think she's rolling as hard as possible, full steam ahead, to create the best possible environment in Richlands in her position. And I think everyone did a good job. And Ms. Sparks, you have lifted all of us up tonight, but we're not going to give you the crown. We'll let somebody else do that, okay? But thank you for your positive remarks. It's encouraging. We all get them. I've had negative remarks. I've been on this council and the mayor for quite a while, and I've had a ton of them. But all I know to do is keep rolling, doing the best you can. Shoulder to the wheel is an old hymn, and that's what we're all doing. And thank you for your encouragement. And we've all echoed that. And so after the dedication, little ceremony, I guess you'd call it, Amanda spoke, Jordan Dillon spoke. She's from the Regional Plateau, Cumberland Plateau Regional Plateau Planning Commission. She spoke. I said a few words. Jason said a few words. And Jason, I was told they could hear you a fraction better than me. Not really, because we can't talk over those generators.
I have teenagers.
Yeah. Well, I've been in front of a lot of them, but I can't say what I said. Okay? That being said, it just bears my saying thank you to this town. Thank you for the citizens who were able to come. And we will have events in the future that are all important and appeal to different people in different ways. I do want to mention that we were not the center of it at all. But in order to give the town the appearance that lights are on, I know a small group of us were at the section house to offer tours and whatever, and I'll tell you about that briefly. I looked across at the railway depot, and they had customers, they had cornhole, they had lots of things, and I know that Coal Town Taps did. Other businesses did. I'm afraid I'll leave somebody out, so I'll stop right there and say the businesses of Richlands were very much into it. And I think that's a positive thing. And so the cohesiveness and working in tandem is always important. At the section house, we did not have a lot of tours. That's what was advertised. We had 2 or 3 people that actually wanted a tour. We did it. We had numerous people who just stopped by on the patio, who had put some tables out there, and we were just sitting there just to talk. And it wasn't complaining about anything, and they have every right to. Everybody has a right to lodge their feelings and their complaints. It was what a nice evening it was, how much they enjoyed the mural over there. They went over and we tried to tell them what was on the mural at the section house. They complimented the flowers and wanted to know if they could pick them. And I thought, oh, God, do what you want. Okay? It's okay. It's okay. And I am so grateful for the blessings of this town. And I want to thank the council for being so supportive of these forward movements. The last thing I want to mention to you that I know of, and we have many things coming up on our calendar. I think it's on the 31st. I'm not positive, but I think the next road race is Don't Stop Believing, which is a charitable race for St. Jude's. And that will be starting at the section house that morning and ending there. And Chief Holt has organized all that along with Charity Hurst, who is the person to organize races. She's done it for 30-some years. And I just want to say that's an event coming up that even if you don't run, come, be there. Thank you. And I could list other events, but I don't know that they're written in stone yet, so I think we need to wait on that. But I want to thank everybody, Seth, Gary, Rick, Jordan, Jan, and Laura. Thank you for being such a good counsel and your support of everything in this town. I've said it and said it. A town is not one thing. It's a beautifully wrapped package, and it's something for everybody. Thank you.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
I hope with these events that we're doing on Saturdays that we'll retrain people to coming into town, because most businesses are closed, and I'm guilty of that too. I did stay open on Saturday, but you don't want to sit there all day and not have two people in.
It's discouraging.
So I'm hoping that we can, bring more business and more people into town on Saturdays.
Can I take up on that? I'm glad you said it. Having been in business in Richlands for so long, my family, and we did live mannequin days for years. I don't know that it would work now because it's a different environment. Seth, I think you were in them. I looked at your pictures last night, and I have literally thousands of pictures of people in those windows. And I said, there's Seth White and many other people. And it's fun. These are good memories. But also it's the making of a town. Things evolve. It's never going to be exactly the same, but things evolve and change. So that being said, at some point in time, I'll bring those to town hall, not to share here. I want you to see. And I would get permission from the town. I had to have it to block one lane in front of my store. And they would bring those big concrete barricades there, and I charged me for it. I'm fine with that. I paid for that. And it was in one lane. And there was a crack in the road. They said, don't go past this crack. So we didn't. And the guys who helped me do that for so many years built platforms, huge platforms, and they would go out in the woods and cut cedar trees. And I had like 5 20-foot Christmas trees in the road. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I remember you, Seth, because it was fun. And I think we had finished that by the time you were there.
I don't recall that at all.
No,
At all.
I was gone. I was out of business when you did that.
remember you being in
But
business.
it's okay. That's the part of the generational change of life. It happens. And I just want you to know that was a successful thing. To Jan's point, I would ask people around me, please stay open. And they wouldn't. So I was there alone, but it's okay. And those people are still wonderful people. But if we can get a sense of cohesiveness in the downtown, and have it such that it works better, I don't know how. I don't have a secret for it. There is none that I have. But it does make you feel better when you're, let me use correct words, working extremely hard, not busting, whatever, to do good things. And that did not come free. It's an investment, a money investment, a time investment in my employees. God rest you some, and some are still here. Work like dogs to get that thing going. I bought 500 T-shirts every year to give away that said Curry's LMD. And I don't care to say it, it was a takeoff on LMD, and they loved it, and it was a memory. And I cannot begin to tell you what that does, because I've taught kids, he said, Mr. Curry, my dad was a model for you, or my mom modeled for you, or my grandma modeled for you. And I thought, dear God. But you see what it does? You see what, it's good. You see, this is what we create. And it wasn't just Curry's. This is about the town of Richlands and what we did this year. And it can create this excitement. It builds for people. And we had it every year without fail. And we always tried to have it on the night Richlands didn't have football. And that was the key. I want to add it right here. Now, anymore, everybody's doing everything in the world. We have a carnival and a festival and a hog jumping contest, whatever. We can't avoid that. But if we have the consistencies, I'm preaching what I believe, it does make a difference. And I can tell you, literally, and I'm a terrible crowd counter, one of the policemen who came, he said, Rod, you had 1,000 people there. And I said, that sounds like a brag, and I'll take it. Thank you. Seth, you remember it.
It was a huge event every year.
Thank
I
you.
probably have some of those T-shirts somewhere.
Okay. So I've had my say. Thank you, council, and thank you for your support and your smiles. Laughing is a good release, and it means a lot to me. Thank you. So unless anybody else has anything they want to say at this time, let's move on. Okay. I'll bring those pictures for you. I'll have to hunt them, but I found them. All right, we're now in Roman numeral 16. I think that's what that is, isn't it? XVI. Good. Have you ever tried, hold on, have you ever tried to subtract, multiply, and divide on Roman numerals? That's why we have Arabic numerals. It was the great contribution of the Arab world to us. Done. It's worth saying. Thank you. Next. Executive closed session. Is there a motion to go into executive closed session? Let me read these. Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A8, consult with attorney for team venture. Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A8, consultation with the attorney on the Rec Commission. Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3, Economic Development Project. Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3, Land Purchase. Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1, Personnel. Is there a motion?
So moved. Oh, sorry.
Rick makes the motion, Laura makes a second. Works? Okay. There's a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on this motion? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Seth?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
It is unanimous. We will go into closed session. Thank you, council. I'm not going to take it. I can't get it through all of it. This meeting of the Richlands Town Council is now back in session. Is there a motion to return to open session? Laura, and second?
second.
All right, Laura makes the motion and Rick makes a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? There being no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Yes. Gary?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes. Yes.
It is unanimous. Now, council, we will vote to certify that nothing was discussed in our executive session other than Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A8, consultation with the attorney for team venture, Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A8, consultation with the attorney rec commission, Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3, economic development project, Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3, land purchase, Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1, personnel. Is there a motion to certify that nothing was discussed other than these specific
So
topics?
moved.
Laura makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seth makes the second. Any discussion on this motion? Roll call vote, please, and as you're voting, you're certifying that nothing was discussed other than these topics.
Seth,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
It is unanimous. Thank you, council. We're now totally into open session. Is there any action council wishes to take at this time? There being no action at this time, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved. Oh,
Gary makes the motion and Rick seconds. Is that correct? Okay. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Said I need to schedule.